Hi there, welcome to the video about planning your lighting. Let's crack on. Before we start, let's quickly remind ourselves of the planned layout of our bedroom. What we really want to do here, because of where the bed is positioned in your line of sight as you walk through the door, we're going to make this our focal point. So to do this, we will use some artwork, which we'll cover later on in the tutorial, and also some lighting, specifically pendant lights. As I've just mentioned, the first thing we're going to do is to put two pendant lights to either side of the bed so that they actually replace the normal table lamp. These will provide both a general light and also an effective task light for reading in bed or sewing or anything like that, whilst also casting a glow of light over our dressing table as well. Now the lights that we've chosen are really lovely. They are show-stopping statement pieces to help make that area a focal point and to attract attention. But because they are pendants, we're also going to use them in place of lamps, so they will save precious space on the bedside tables. This means that you can use smaller tables or none at all if you want, or just have more space on the top. Secondly, we will be installing downlighters in the ceiling, which we haven't yet fitted. In our room, we want 12 of them, spaced approximately 1 metre apart, as you can see by our lovely diagram. You can also see from the image that they are centred in the room. Now 12 may seem like a lot, but when they only use 3-watt bulbs, it will create an even light across the whole room, which you will be able to dim, giving you ultimate control, so you can have it brighter when you need it, and then tone it down when you really don't want it that bright. We've also managed to incorporate their grid into the same alignment of the bedside pendants for a good sense of symmetry. This gives us lots of flexibility for future changes, and of course any other room that you do this in, it's likely that you'll want to place your pendants in the centre of the room, so they could either be bang smack in the middle, or they could replace those two central blue dots in this grid. But we'll cover more of this later on. Note how the lights do not extend to the edges of the room. This is because we don't want them casting light onto wasted areas, such as the top of a wardrobe or a cupboard. We have also avoided having them directly above the pillow end of the bed, because who wants to look up and be blinded? When planning your lighting, try to position your downlighters so that it's not necessary to drill through the joists. It just makes the job so much easier, so take that into consideration. Thirdly, we're going to need some accent light, which will come in the form of 2 pairs of wall lights at either end of our room. We've done it this way because it's rectangular. However, that will really depend on your room and where you feel it needs more light. Just go with your gut. The ones that we've got will light up the chest of drawers they are to be placed above, and also the dressing table on the other side of the room. Plus the light's also going to bounce off the ceiling, which will add to the general glow in the room. Now these are to be fitted with 18-watt halogens, which will provide an energy-saving, lovely warm white light. These ones will be controlled with individual pull switches on the lights themselves, which makes them more convenient, as you will be likely to only need them for short times, possibly in the morning or when getting ready for a night out. Now for positioning wall lights, this really depends on the occupants of your house. Now the truth about them is that they are attractive to look at front on, but not from above. Therefore, they should not be installed too low on your wall. The standard positioning of wall lights is at a height of 1.7 to 1.8 metres, which is 66 to 72 inches, or 5.5 feet to 6 feet, above floor level. Now, if your room has a vaulted ceiling, they can take a higher placement, and it will need to be so that it balances out on the wall. But if the average height of people living in your home is well above 6 feet, or below 5.5 feet, then you may want to adjust your lights accordingly. Last but certainly not least, floor lamps. Now these are used to add task light and to balance out darker corners in a room. We just have the one, and he is positioned behind our reading chair, controlled at the source only. Now it hangs over the top of the chair to shine light exactly where we need it, when we need it. You will find with lamps that they are generally used at night to replace the light which would normally come from a window during the day, because a room will probably have been set up to use that natural light effectively. So our lamp in this room is placed near to a window because after dark it will be needed to light that particular corner. The other window has a pendant and a wall light nearby, so a lamp there would just be overkill. You may also find that you need another one to light the dressing table area if the wall sconces are not enough or you just aren't able to fit them. Until they're in place, you won't know for sure, and it's not wrong to adjust any aspect of your room later down the line. If this is the case, you want a floor lamp which is situated behind the table and to the side of the mirror so that it's shining directly at your face. A light from above or to the side will cast horrible, discouraging shadows on your face, so therefore an adjustable tilting lamp is the best one that you want to pick. Okay, here is the plan showing all of the lights required. We are colour coded with the twin yellow pendants, the blue grid-like pattern of the downlighters, the coral wall lights, and the lonely green floor lamp. You should ask the advice of your electrician as to what is the best way to carry out this scheme. Perhaps the bedside pendants can be on one circuit, which is controlled by a two-way dimmer switch by the door and another by the bed. Then the ceiling downlighters on a second circuit, also controlled by a two-way dimmer switch by the door and the bed. And then the floor lamps and wall lights could be on a third circuit, and those are controlled by switches on the lights themselves. It's best to ask professional advice for this unless you are comfortable with rewiring. Here is that same plan overlaid on our room layout. You can clearly see how those downlighters will give the room an overall light right where it's needed. For putting clothing away, for rummaging through drawers, for dressing, for making the bed and cleaning the room and all that fun stuff. Don't forget that if your room has interesting features such as an alcove or a bay window or some feature artwork, then directional downlighters can effectively draw attention to those. Our room is quite plain and boring, it doesn't have those, so we haven't put them in, but if you do, use them. It's best to bring out those features in your room. We will show you some examples later on in this lighting module if you do happen to be lucky enough to have a more interesting room than ours. The pendants beside the bed offer plenty of light which may be needed here, even when the other ceiling lights are off. The wall sconces throw light into the room from both ends, whilst also casting light on the dressing table area where you'll need it. And that floor lamp is perfectly situated for lighting up the reading chair. Okay, lastly and very quickly, we'll just have a sneak peek at the lighting that we've chosen for our bedroom. Don't forget that these are not the only lights you can use in the design. Many of them can also be used in other rooms. They're not limited only to a bedroom. And many of them also feature in some of the other styles. So even if you decide to do your room in a style different to the one that we are doing ours in, that's absolutely fine. You will probably be coming across some of these lights anyway. Now to the left of your screen we have the wall lights, which are small and subtle yet really pretty glass lights. They have smooth lines and gentle curves, which is what we want in our general style for this room. Secondly, our two bedside lights are these gorgeous hanging pendants in chrome and crystal, which, as I'm sure you can imagine, will really enhance our bed area focal point. Now each one features 5 bulbs, so they will provide more than sufficient task light as they hang over the bedside tables. These can also be featured in a hallway or a guest room, possibly in a dining room, but they may be a bit long for some rooms. We'll discuss that later on in the course as well. The ceiling downlighters towards the top of your screen are plain and simple because we really don't want them to draw too much attention to themselves. These ones are chrome to match our cosy and elegant traditional style. However, they can be used for many of the other room themes. And lastly, we have 2 floor lamps. The one with the large shade will hang over our reading chair, while the second one to the right of your screen features a tilting head on an adjustable stand, which is the kind of lamp that you would want to use near the dressing table if you have one in your room. That's it for now. You can click next to see how we're going to adapt this lighting design to your room.